Thanks for joining us for the Long Island Sound podcast. Each week we explore new music and dive deeper with the artists and their stories behind the music. Please subscribe and rate and review us wherever you stream this podcast. Here's your host, Steve Yusko.
Hey, music lovers. Today we're going to take a deep dive into the folk indie pop music of Leo Sawikin. Leo's been making waves with his unique melodic voice and really heartfelt lyrics. He's got a song that's rising up the charts called Till You're Somebody Else. He just finished working on this album with famous producer Phil Ek. In this exclusive interview, we get to know Leo's journey, his creative process, and his vision for the future. You'll hear about his upcoming album and his live shows. Hey, come check it out. Hey, everybody. I am so excited about the guest we have today. He hails from Little Italy in Manhattan. Leo Sawikin. He is an indie artist. He's come out with some great music. He's been traveling out to Seattle to do some recording. And we're going to find out a little bit more, as we always do, behind the artist. Hey, Leo, welcome to the Long Island Sound podcast. Good to have you.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah. So tell me, where did it all begin for you as far as musically, where you said, hey, I think I can do this?
I think the first time I had the idea of being a professional musician was after seeing School of Rock.
Hey, before we go to the song, we decided to switch things up here on the podcast. You know, we're all about supporting the artist. So we're going to give you a preview of the song, and then we're going to ask you to go to your favorite music platform and stream the artist's contents and add them to your playlist. All right, now let's check it out.
Okay. 9. There's just something about that movie that really, it made me want to do it. And, a friend of mine called me up and suggested starting a band and was never able to let go of that idea.
Now, were you already playing an instrument at that point, or is it all starting from scratch?
I'd always liked to sing. I was singing from the time I was a toddler. I didn't play any other instruments, so I was inspired by that to pick up my dad's guitar and kind of try to start figuring things out on it. And then it was actually probably a year before he got tired of hearing just atonal stuff on the guitar before he decided to just teach me how to do chords.
Oh, nice.
And then once that happened, it sort of I took lessons, and a year after that, I started writing songs.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, that's how it all began.
You know, it's funny. I don't run into many times. I run into artists from musical families, meaning there's someone who plays an instrument in the family. Very rare. It's like, hey, dad's going to teach me. But I had a shared experience with my daughter where, I taught her some chords on the guitar, and I was the cello Nazi when she was in middle school, and then she began to run with it, and it really kind of opened up the creative door for her. So I think that's really great, kind of exploring that. But so you're into it, and then you start writing music right away?
About a year after I learned how to play guitar, I started to write songs with lyrics.
Nice.
I had tried coming up with musical ideas before, but they were, a lot of them were just me kind of hitting random notes on the guitar, and they didn't really make a lot of sense. But yeah, I was 12 when I wrote my first song.
Gotcha. Now, is the guitar your go-to instrument pretty much for everything?
Absolutely. It's
Nice.
always made the most sense to me. Sort of understand piano, but I don't have the muscle memory to really pull it off. So I've always just stuck with guitar.
I hear you. I started with the piano as well, and it was torturous. Mrs. Wallace. I think I tortured Mrs. Wallace more than I felt she was torturing me. But you never forget those people that are teaching you music.
Yeah. I'll remember my first guitar teacher forever.
Yeah, it's great. And what amazes me too, just as an aside, is how many artists are also music teachers. Pushing it out and spreading the love and going in that route. So, hey, I'm really curious about something. So you fronted the band called the Cordies, right? In the late 2010 area?
2014 to 2019 was the timeline.
did you begin as the front man for the group?
Yeah. It was my project always.
Okay.
And I had another band with my close friend Ethan. We were called Music Collective, and we kind of we rebranded as the Core Days after I left college. But yeah, it was always my project and his project.
Cool. Gotcha. You know what I find interesting too is, and at least, so I'm based from Long Island, right? And all the artists who aspire to do gigs in the city, whether it's the bitter end or
Mhm.
various, Arlene's Grocery or a number of places. But you live in New York. You live in
Mhm.
Manhattan. Is that where you gig mostly in Manhattan, or you go to Brooklyn, or how'd you get your chops gigging, I guess is my question.
When I was playing with the Core Days, we did more Manhattan shows. Like we did the Bitter End and Bowery Electric. We did Mercury Lounge a couple of times,
Okay.
and Arlene's. These days, I'm playing more in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And
Brooklyn's
just,
the center of the world right now.
yeah, and I prefer the ethos of those venues a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But so I play at places like Our Wicked Lady, or I like to play at Alphaville a lot.
Okay.
I just did a show at this gallery called The Locker Room, which is a really nice space.
Where is it, Manhattan? Or in Brooklyn?
No,
Sorry.
the Locker Room's in Williamsburg.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, all those places are in Brooklyn.
Nice. There was a great, it's a lot of great places in and around the area. And I'm trying to think of, there's a great beer hall right in Williamsburg as well. Radagast.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think if I've been there before. I would probably recognize it if I saw it.
It's nice, and I've seen a few acts there, and it's just real. It's picnic tables inside and great German beer, and you can't get better than that as far as I'm concerned. So now you're gonna be playing City Winery too, I think, right?
Yeah. So I'm opening for John McLaughlin at City Winery on September 29th.
Excellent.
Which I'm very, very excited about. I played there with him this last December, which was a lot of fun.
Nice. Well, you know what? Also, when you're coming out, if I recall, you're coming out to my neck of the woods, out to Bayshore, to the Boulton Center, right?
I'm going to be playing Bayshore on double check the date.
Well, you know what? We're going to put, just to tell our audience, we're going to have all your website. Look in the description. You'll see the website and the dates of when Leo is playing, so you can go from there. Hey, Leo, let's do this. Let's just take a quick break.
Okay.
And when we come back, I want to talk to you about the difference between when you've produced music on your own here locally and your trip out to Seattle.
Okay, that sounds good.
And how you did things differently.
Cool.
Everybody, we'll be right back with Leo. Stick with us.
Are you ready for the ultimate podcasting adventure? The Long Island Sound podcast offers you not one, but 2 ways to engage with our captivating content. Tune in to our audio podcast on your favorite platform and let your imagination paint vivid pictures of Long Island stories. Or if you're craving a visual feast, catch our video podcast on Spotify and on the Long Island Sound YouTube channel. Double the options, double the excitement.
Hey, before we go to the song, we decided to switch things up here on the podcast. You know, we're all about supporting the artist. So we're going to give you a preview of the song, and then we're going to ask you to go to your favorite music platform and stream the artist contents and add them to your playlist. All right, now let's check it out. Hey everyone, we're back with Leo, and he's going to play for us the song, The Same Mistakes. Take it away, Leo.
Out of bed, I've got a heavy head. My mind is left every day, wasting time, forgetting how to try. Oh, it's not fair, but we don't care. No, we don't care. pieces of myself, so hard to tell, living in this world. Tell me why we crawl when we could fly. Oh, it's not fair, but we don't care.
Hey, do you like what you just heard? Hey, add it to your playlist. And if you like the Long Island Sound podcast, remember to subscribe both on the platform you're listening on right now and our YouTube channel to keep updated on the latest happenings on the music scene. All right, now back to our show. Beautiful, Leo.
Thank you.
Very nice. It's funny, you know, it's going through my mind is you ever look at somebody and don't expect the beautiful voice to come, no offense, to come out. It's, you know, you have a beautiful voice. And
Thank you.
And thanks for doing that. You know, who thought we'd be singing into phones to people 70 miles away? Thank you so much for that. Just to remind people that you can find information about Leo in the description. He's playing locally here in New York City. He's going to come out to Bayshore. He's going to be playing in Huntington, and we hope to get this episode out. And I can't wait to see it in Bayshore. It's a nice theater. It's the Boulton Center. It was just renovated, so that's really kind of cool. And they do a nice job. And I know the sound guy there.
Oh, awesome.
So if you have any trouble with him, you say, "Hey, Yusko said, hey, you know, I came all the way out here, and you know, don't screw me up." Leo, I got to ask you this, because I have a lot of up and coming artists who listen to the program, and I'm not one to give advice because I haven't woodshedded my craft. I say that with great, you know, guilt. So I got to dust off the guitars that are behind me, and I did recently, so I still got it to a certain degree. I just got to get better at it. But let me set a scenario up for you. Yeah, you know, you go see somebody in Brooklyn, and you go, "Wow, this person has really got some great original music, great artists, great everything." And they come up to you, and they know that you're a professional musician, and they say, "Leo, what are the 3 things that I should do to move things along?" What would you suggest?
Well, I think I would say first, be patient. Nothing in the music business happens overnight, and if it does, you know, your success will probably not be as sustainable.
Okay.
But yeah, like you have to keep working at it, and you know, be happy with incremental growth. And then, you know, I think, you know, be happy with incremental growth, and also know that just because something is not happening doesn't mean that things can't change really, really quickly. Because I feel like it's sort of like an exponential curve success. Like you work at it for a really long time, and then something clicks, and then things really start to take off. The other thing I'd say is that you really have to take practicing and, you know, working on your craft really seriously. Talent is really, really important, and it's the foundation for everything. But developing talent takes years, and it takes years of very consistent hard work. And I feel like I myself have learned that the hard way. I've, in parts of my career, have tried to just like coast off my own talent, and
I hear you.
it doesn't really work out that well. You really, you know, if you do that, you will be surpassed by people who have like less talent than you. Hard work is really everything.
Right.
And the third thing I'd say, be nice to people, I guess. Don't burn bridges. It's you never know who you're going to have to deal with in the future. So just always keep that in mind. And karma is very real.
Agreed.
I think those are the three I would have to say.
Yeah, I can testify to that. So Leo, you were talking about going and gigging out and opening up for John McLaughlin.
Mm-hmm.
So you were telling me about you were doing like a 2-week stint. Were you doing it with the band or just you or
just solo this time?
Just solo?
Just an acoustic run.
Gotcha.
The first time it was 2 weeks. The second time I did it in chunks. So in May, I went out on the West Coast, did like a week's worth of shows there. And then in June, I did a little run through like the South and the Mid-Atlantic. So like North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland. And then in September, we're doing a longer run again, which will probably be close to 2 weeks, so kind of closer to the first one, and that'll be all in the Northeast. And yeah, for now, I think I really do want to do a full band tour. I feel like I have benefited so much as a solo artist from the practice and repetition of doing show after show on the road. And it's I feel like it's made me really, really professional as a solo artist. And I really just want to be able to match that with my full band shows. And right now I kind of do those a lot more infrequently than I would like to.
Gotcha.
So I'm hoping to get some kind of opportunity to tour as a full band. And a festival would be great, just something like that.
So let me ask, so when you were touring with John, did you have similar audiences or were you being introduced to, I guess you always get introduced to as a new fan base, you're working with his and vice versa, but would you say it matched up pretty well or?
I'd say, it's definitely different than the people who I play to in the city, but like not super different. His crowd is a little bit older than mine. He's 10 years older than me, I think, or no, he's 12 years older than me, and that's about his audience is probably about a decade older than mine on average. But it's very, I feel like my music is very compatible with that. Like, older people like my music. So it's worked out pretty well, I think.
Hey everybody, we're back with Leo Sawikin, and Leo is going to favor us with another one of his tunes. Take it away, Leo. Hey, before we go to the song, we decided to switch things up here on the podcast. We're all about supporting the artist. So we're going to give you a preview of the song, and then we're going to ask you to go to your favorite music platform and stream the artist's contents and add them to your playlist. All right, now let's check it out.
So this song is called To Somebody Else, and I wrote it sort of at the back end of the pandemic, which was a time of a lot of changes for me. And it's just about how no matter what your circumstances are, or where you think you're stuck in life, that change is always possible, and it kind of happens imperceptibly until you look back and notice that you're a different person. So that's what this one's about.
like what you just heard, hey, add it to your playlist. And if you like the Long Island Sound podcast, remember to subscribe both on the platform you're listening on right now and our YouTube channel to keep updated on the latest happenings on the music scene. All right, now back to our show. Thank you, Leo. That was really nice. Really
thank you.
appreciate it. You know, my mind travels as I'm listening to you, and you know, just the title of the song. You know, when you're somebody else, and I thought about things that I've heard, whether it's musically or read or heard some sermon or something. You know, the person I was when I first heard it, and it may I've heard it 100 times. I'm a different person when I hear it today, and sometimes if you allow yourself to say, "Hey, I'm new. I'm a newer person now listening to this," and you could pull other things out of it. So I think that's pretty poignant. In what
Thank
you're
you.
trying to say.
Yeah, it's a freeing feeling. It's just, you know.
Yeah, and it's all about taking a step and looking at your perspective, right? And look, counting blessings and other things like that.
Yeah,
So,
it's always imperceptible until you look back, I guess.
right, exactly. Hey, tell us a little bit about the other song that you played, "The Same Mistakes," and give us some background on that.
Yeah. So that one, that song took me like a year to write. This one came very quickly. I actually wrote these two back to back, and it just, you know, kind of hit a block with the same mistakes. Lyrically, it's just about how, you know, we have a tendency as people to fall back into old habits and, you know, make the same mistakes over and over again, no matter how much we kind of mentally recognize that something is not right for us.
Right. Yep.
Musically, kind of, you know, I start that song with that arpeggiation, and I kind of was playing the whole song like that. And then I think like sometime soon after I had recorded with Phil for the first time, I watched the Song Exploder on Hurt. You know Song Exploder, right?
No, tell me about it.
Yeah, it's a really cool podcast. With this guy who just you know, each week is a different artist, and they
cool.
you know, talk about. It's like a 20-minute episode that's devoted to a song. It's great, and Netflix put out a video version of it.
Nice.
And one of the episodes was about the song "Hurt" by Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I was just listening to it last night, actually. After watching that episode, I thought that maybe The Same Mistakes would work better if it kind of had a similar build to that song.
Yep.
And like a sort of similar type of drum thing, and like a chugging guitar thing instead of the arpeggiation I've been doing. So I kind of let the song turn into that in the second half. Yep. And doing that just really made it come together.
You know what's interesting is Rick Rubin took Johnny Cash.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Had him cover that song, and man, just talk about perspective. We're back to perspective again of having an older man towards the end of his life. You know, and I can only imagine, you know, we all bring baggage with us, right? All that baggage that can come out and be expressive, and you can hear it so differently through an older voice.
Yeah, no, it takes on an entirely different meaning in that version, I think.
That's what's great about covers, and I'll pontificate a little bit here. I'm not big into tribute bands, although I talked about one earlier.
Absolutely.
You know, and I was talking to a friend of mine. He goes, you know, there's a group that does the Allman Brothers, right? He goes, they play it note for note for note. And how terrible is that? And I got it. But then take an artist like yourself, you know, you do a cover here and there, I'm sure, in anything that you do, but you put your own, literally and figuratively, your own voice onto that. And your own way, the way you emote that is going to be different than the original artist, and that's what's one of the beauties of music and interpretation as well.
Yeah. No, it's all my favorite covers of songs are at least, you know, a little different from the original, because it'll never sound the same. So there's no point in trying to make something sound exactly like the original.
Exactly. You know, it's like the Grateful Dead. Every time you go see them, it's going to be different. It's going to be different.
Yeah.
And that's a great exploration to go in, mindset. And, you know, particularly as an older man, you know, one of the reasons I love new music is it's very easy for my generation to slip into the 70s, 80s, and 90s and live there. You know, it's nice to reminisce, but it can get freaking stale really quick for me, you know. And I love, you know, I love the histrionics of stuff and going back and grabbing those things and pulling it in with your own interpretation.
Yeah. Well, you guys are pulling from a great era. Definitely better than the generation before you guys.
Yeah, the Laurel Canyon and stuff like that. And that's one of the things that inspires me is from, you know, Manhattan to Montauk. You know, when I started this podcast, I'm like, oh, am I going to have enough guests? I was like, you kidding me? And then all of a sudden you see, and I have this phrase, the wellspring of talent. Guess what? There's a wellspring of talent. It's just not a figure of speech. There are people there that are great creatives and that they take what they do in all different genres, you know, folk, Americana, ska I'm getting into right now, and reggae. It's just really kind of cool. I'm talking too much.
Yeah, New York is definitely a hot spot for that, for sure.
Yeah, I had a couple of guests on who were bluegrass guys in Brooklyn. Yeah. In Brooklyn.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
Damn Tall Buildings, a great group. A trio, man, and just bluegrass in Brooklyn. Yeah, yeah, it fits.
Yeah.
So I'm really, Leo. I want to thank you for your time, for being on the podcast.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
It's a real pleasure to do this. I'm excited that you're going to be playing locally, especially 2 towns away from me. You're going to be in Huntington, you're going to be in Bayshore, and of course you're playing in Brooklyn and Manhattan. And I invite everybody to explore Leo's music. Look in the description below, you'll find the links. I'm sure you're on Spotify and all those other places.
Yeah, all that stuff
as well. So it's Leo SAWIKIN.com.
Yes.
Hey, brother, thanks again for your time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Steve. I really appreciate it.
Sure. I look forward to following your career and diving a little deeper into your music. All right.
Thank you.
Till next time.
Have a great day.
All right. Be well.
Are you ready for the ultimate podcasting adventure? The Long Island Sound podcast offers you not one, but 2 ways to engage with our captivating content. Tune in to our audio podcast on your favorite platform and let your imagination paint vivid pictures of Long Island stories. Or if you're craving a visual feast, catch our video podcast on Spotify and on the Long Island Sound YouTube channel. Double the options, double the excitement.